Hello BookTube. Before September ends, I would like to try and do the Shakespeare Journey Tag. This tag was created by Kelly of Books I'm Not Reading, Nicole of A Day of Small Things, and Jason of Old Blues Chapter and Verse. They are the hosts of this year's Shakespeare, which is a BookTube reading event in which participants read the plays of Shakespeare in the month of September. I have tried to do this tag several times this month and I have failed miserably, largely because the tag is meant for people who really love Shakespeare, and I don't. I've read quite a bit of Shakespeare, not everything, but Shakespeare has never done it for me. It's not that I strongly don't get on with him, it's that it doesn't do anything for me. I don't enjoy the reading experience. But this tag has been nagging me for much of the month, so I would like to try and actually do it. So if you see this video, I succeeded, and if you don't, oh well. There will obviously be not a video on this Thursday. Anyway, let's get going. So prompt number 1, what was your first experience reading Shakespeare and what was it like? So I want to say I was in the 6th grade. I was about 11 or 12. And there was and I want to say around that time there was an adaptation of The Tempest. And it got me wanting to read the play. So I checked out a collected edition of Shakespeare's work from the school library, and started on The Tempest. And I made it maybe a scene before I bailed on the play. I would later come back and actually read The Tempest for a class in college that was dedicated to Shakespeare. So I have finished The Tempest. It just took a long while for me to actually read it completely. Beyond that, I also had of course, Romeo and Juliet. Actually, I had it twice. Once in 8th grade and again in 9th grade. My freshman year in high school. So I took a theater arts class in the 8th grade and reread Shakespeare, and then for freshman English we read Romeo and Juliet, and it didn't do anything for me. Romeo and Juliet will never be a play that I'm ever particularly all that passionate about. I'm not entirely sure why it's so focused on it's not that good. But anyway, prompt number 2. Has the reading of a Shakespeare play ever brought you to tears? What scene was it, and where were you when it happened? Nothing by Shakespeare has ever brought tears to my eyes. Very little of what I read actually brings tears to my eyes, except for some manga volumes. Prompt number 3. Are there any people that have played a significant role in your Shakespeare journey? Not really. Most of my teachers, particularly in like the K through 12, they never really influenced my reading, whether with Shakespeare or not with Shakespeare. Now, I did have a professor in college, George Clowitter, who taught the Shakespeare class, and he was pretty awesome. But he never really got me to love Shakespeare. Prompt number 4. Do you have a favorite book or film about Shakespeare? No. Prompt number 5. Which character in Shakespeare most resembles you and in what ways? I think this is a question meant for somebody else. Because obviously you're going to go with a character who you aspire to be more like than perhaps you are, whereas somebody else might be a bit more. This is the character you more or less are actually like. So I don't really know. I've thought about it, and no character really comes to mind. Prompt number 6, I think. Which play would you most like to see performed in a theater and why? I think maybe Hamlet or Macbeth. I think one of those two. Prompt number 7. What actor throughout history would you most like to have seen play Hamlet while in his prime? How about her prime? Helen Mirren. I would love to see a gender bent Hamlet, in which, because it's sort of weird that Hamlet did not succeed his father as King of Denmark, even though at the time the Danish throne was elective. But I think having Hamlet be a woman kind of would hammer that home, that certain dynamics, I think, would be really cool to experiment. And I think in general, playing around with Shakespeare, I think is kind of cool. Because I remember I watched the Julie Taymor version of The Tempest, and I thought Helen Mirren did a fantastic job as Prospera. Prompt number 8. Deliver your favorite speech or soliloquy from a Shakespeare play. So I brought down my Bevington. This is the complete works of Shakespeare. I have had this for 20 years. So let's go and see if I can find it. I'm tempted to do Titus Andronicus, but because there's a speech Tamara gives to Saturnine that I find interesting. And then, of course, the finale scene. But I think I'm going to go with the opening of Richard III. Now is the winter of our discontent made glorious summer by this son of York, and all the clouds that lowered upon our house in the deep bosom of the ocean buried. Now are our brows bound with victorious wreaths, our bruised arms hung up for monuments, our stern alarums changed to merry meetings, our dreadful marches to delight measures, grim visaged war hath smoothed his wrinkled front, so on and so forth. Prompt number 9. Do any of Shakespeare's plays intimidate you? If yes, what play and why? No Shakespeare play has ever intimidated me. It just bored me. Prompt number 10. What tips would you give to intimidated readers coming to Shakespeare for the first time? Hopefully you have a halfway decent teacher. Prompt number 11. Which is your favorite Shakespeare play and why? I think out of all of them, it's a toss-up between Hamlet and Macbeth. Although I do also have a soft spot for Titus. But that probably is more to do with that gloriously campy Julie Taymor adaptation than anything else. The last time I tried to read Titus, did not go well. Which was, I think, for Shake Timber, Shake Tube, whatever it was a few years ago. Prompt number 12. Tag some booktubers. So I'm pretty sure everybody else has already done this tag, but if you haven't and you would like to, consider yourselves tagged. So that was the Shakespeare Journey Tag, and it actually didn't go terribly, so I think I will be able to upload this. So tomorrow there will be weekly reads. I don't know when that will be. I don't know if I'll do an early weekly reads or a later weekly reads. It depends on whether or not I want to focus on some manga, like tomorrow and on Saturday before I begin my October readings, or what. But tomorrow I would like to try to do weekly reads and a discussion video on Victober. That may or may not happen because I'm struggling with kind of coming up with what I want to say for that video. But anyway, BookTube, thank you. Have a great afternoon and stay safe.